Hey everybody, it's Chris from the Droning Company here with Jia from Honeywell. Now, listen, this is a really awesome display you've got here. You got a lot of interesting little things going on in the backdrop too. Tell me a little bit about what you do for the company first, and then let's talk about some of the stuff you've got going on.
Absolutely. Nice meeting, Chris.
Yeah.
My name is Jia Xu. I'm the CTO for the Honeywell UAM and UAS business. UAS is, of course, unmanned aerial systems, including the drones that all of you guys are flying. And then UAM is urban air mobility, so we're also on the advanced aerial mobility, the very large drones and piloted electric aircraft, right, air taxis of the world. And you can think of that, what Honeywell's bring to the table here is really kind of aviation heritage and high-end, high availability, high assurance systems. Honeywell is on about 98% of the aircraft out there. So if you've flown on a commercial aircraft recently, we probably built the flight control systems or the flight management system or the computer that flies that aircraft.
Oh, wow.
And what we're doing here is, when we're thinking about drones in the future, if we want to fly BVLOS, beyond visual line of sight, and millions of these drones everywhere, we need a much higher level of assurance. And Honeywell is bringing all of that aviation expertise and knowledge into the space of democratized aviation for the future. We actually are unique, I think, among the tier one suppliers in this industry to have set up a dedicated business unit 3 years ago just to do UAS and UAM. And today our product cover everything from sensors, right, very high-end, and some very accessible and also capable sensor systems, inertial navigation packages, and we'll talk about some of that today, to everything to detect and avoid radar for drones, as well as for the larger aircrafts, flight controls, avionics systems, electric motors, propulsion systems, thermal management systems for these larger, let's say, cargo UAS, right, thousands of pounds flying between warehouse and warehouse, as well as air taxis that can whiz you around town.
That's amazing. Talk about versatility. Now, in terms of some of and you mentioned BVLOS earlier, in terms of some of the other regulations that are coming through at the FAA, I know the United States especially, it's a lot harder to work within because of some of those regulations. How does Honeywell address some of those when you're going through R&D and figuring out how to help in this industry?
That's a really good question. It's actually core to what we do, right? Everything that we have done on the aircraft side, the airplanes that you fly into, that all has to be certified, and we understand how to certify those critical systems, the brains and muscles of aircraft, right? Everything from engines to complex flight controls, and increasingly in the future, simplified vehicle operation systems, autonomy systems onboard aircraft. In fact, about I think more than 100 years ago, Honeywell built the first autopilot. So Lawrence Sperry built that system, and that's the start of autonomy when they demonstrated that they can climb out of the airplane, stand on the wings, and still have the airplane fly straight and level. Yeah. And then today, all of the stuff that we're doing here, as well as on the larger aircraft side, is furthering that tradition into automation and autonomous flight to make aviation safer and more scalable. On the particular point of certification, what we bring to the table with our customers is that we can work with them, right, to provide the kind of documentation, the pedigree of systems, the qualification for both our contribution in terms of our systems and to help them think about how they do certification at higher levels, right, system and aircraft, and how we contribute to that overall story. We are in there with the regulators, oftentimes with our customers, because we're the experts on the avionics, on the vehicle systems. And in fact, it's a good thing you raised this question, because yesterday we actually released a certification guide. It's a very short one, which is short and sweet, looking at first across all of the segments, right, Part 107 up to large cargo drones, up to autonomous passenger and cargo aircraft in the future. What's the current state of certification, right? What's the documentation? What's the language? What's the stuff that's ready? What's the stuff that's out there for commentary? All in one place, right? We also look at U.S. versus EU. You mentioned that there may be different perspectives on what is the U.S. doing, what are other countries doing. So we compare across the board and highlight differences and gaps where they are present. We also look at it from the operational versus the type or airworthiness certification of the aircraft perspective. So I think it's a good one-stop shop, and you can find that just by Googling Honeywell Advanced Aerial Mobility or UAM certification guide, and you'll be able to access that. And it's great, right? For me, for the audience out there, it would be great if we can start a dialogue of, these are the certification questions that you have, the things that really you worry about in your day-to-day work as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a stakeholder, as a media stakeholder in this space as well. Like, what would you like to know? How can we make this product useful for the entire community? Because we're not just, we have great products, but we're not here just to do that. We're here to enable the industry and co-create this market with you.
Sure. Absolutely, and I really love what you're saying about helping the industry as much as you can in terms of flexibility. Let's say you're working with a client. What kind of support before and after sales can they expect when working with Honeywell?
Right, great question. A lot of our systems actually involve deep integration into the aircraft, right? On the AAM, air taxi side. So we work hand in hand with our customer to understand their integration needs, make sure that the systems are tailored to their vehicle and to their concept of operations, to their missions. At some level, with many of our avionics and even flight control platforms, we are also supporting the customers with tools that we use to help them develop their own systems. So the Anthem avionics platform, which is for bigger aircraft, right, air taxis, that's on a number of air taxi platforms today. And we have a highly modular system, both in hardware and software, where we can actually turn tools over to the customer and say, you want an application for your own, like it's like the Android and iPhone model. We can empower you to go build it, and then the whole system will still be on a streamlined pathway towards certification. So that's actually a brand new kind of capability where we're not just delivering product, but we're delivering product platforms. Yes. So that's one of the multitude of ways that we work with customers. Right now, actually, we are going to one of the regulators, in the next few weeks with one of our customers to work through some questions on certifiability. So that's another area that we do very directly in terms of supporting our customers in this space. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Now, if somebody wants to learn a little bit more about Honeywell, whether they're a prospective client or if they're just curious about the technology and the solutions you provide, where would they go to best do that?
Yeah, again, we're unique in this space that we have, in the world of, I would say, fairly established aerospace companies, having a business unit dedicated to advanced aero mobility, to UAS. So that persona is on the internet. I think a great way would be to go to the Honeywell UAM UAS website. There, you'll find that trusty guide on certification policy, so that's value right away. You'll look at the product catalog that we have across the board, how that may enable your mission. And I think we're going to, in the future, I think also put quite a few public interest pieces on autonomy and other things on there to just give people a perspective on how we make these things real, right, from a practitioner's perspective for big aircraft and for smaller aircraft and drones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, Jia, I really appreciate your time today. This has been great. Absolutely.
Thank you, Chris.